The heel turn. Yes. That mysterious, sometimes maddening moment when your lovely tube of stitches suddenly needs to curve and fit a human foot. Your hands are already sweating just thinking about it. Stay with me, because by the end of this episode, you'll be ready to tackle the heel like the knitting superstar you are.
Welcome to Behind the Skeins, the podcast where fiber, creativity, and business come together. Whether you're a passionate knitter, a hand-dyed yarn lover, or dreaming of running your own creative business, you're in the right place. Join your host, Jenna Eddy, owner and head dyer of Southern Skeins, as we pull back the curtain on the world of indie yarn dyeing, share behind-the-scenes stories from the studio, and dive into tips, tricks, and insights to fuel your knitting and fiber journey. Ready to unravel the magic behind the skeins? Let's get started.
Today we're talking sock heels, the part of sock knitting that can make even the bravest knitters break a sweat. But after this episode, you're going to feel ready to tackle any heel with confidence. We're covering the classic heel flap and gusset and my personal favorite, German short row heel. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get real. Why do sock heels freak us out? What is it about the dreaded turning of the heel? Honestly, it's because it feels like a whole new language. You've been cruising along in the round, knitting happily away, and then boom, the pattern says, work back and forth across half the stitches. Wait, what? Work back and forth across half the stitches. Suddenly, you're slipping stitches, you're turning mid-row, and you're asking yourself, is this actually still knitting? I totally get it. I've been there. In fact, let's rewind to my first ever sock heel. True story, or as I call it, my horror story. But I'll give you guys a spoiler. It worked out just fine. So, picture this. I'm feeling good. My cuff's gorgeous. My yarn is soft and squishy. I'm just sitting there, cruising along, doing my knitting. Then the heel turn instructions hit. I swear my eyes glazed over. I had no clues to what I was doing. I ripped back twice. I watched at least 5 different YouTube tutorials. And full confession, I considered frogging the entire sock. Not to mention that I'm left-handed and everything looks backwards to me anyways. But I stuck with it. And then that little curved heel actually took shape. It actually took shape. Oh my gosh, it was like total magic. It actually took shape. That was my moment of realization. It's not that the heel is hard. It's that the heel is different. And once you see how it works, you've unlocked the secret sauce of sock knitting. So let's talk heel turning 101 and what's actually happening when you knit. What's the construction of your sock doing? So let's simplify it. No math or algebra here. The heel turn is basically a clever way of adding shape to your sock to cup around your heel. You're no longer knitting a tube, now you're sculpting. Here's the classic method. The heel, flap, and gusset. Full disclosure, I'm on team don't do gussets. That's just me. A lot of people like to do the heel, flap, and gusset, so we're going to go ahead and cover it. The heel flap is okay, easy peasy. You're knitting your heel flap back and forth on half your stitches. No problem. Then comes the dreaded gusset. I'd rather have a root canal than knit a gusset. No joke. No joke. If you've been following me for a while, you know I don't do gussets. So why is it popular then? It's sturdy. Hello durability, especially if you're going to do an Eye of Partridge heel flap. Perfect. It fits good, though I do kind of think that the short row heel fits best and is more adaptable. Then again, repeat after me. Jenna doesn't do gussets. Now, fun fact, if you're buying socks, usually at one of the big box stores, you're normally going to find that the socks there are short rows because they're just going to universally fit a heel better. So for those of you who really want to try the heel flap and gusset, let's go for it right now. So here's your basic breakdown. You're going to knit your heel flap. Okay, you're going to work back and forth on half of your stitches. Usually you're going to want to slip the first stitch of each row to create nice tidy edges, plus it'll make it a little bit easier later to pick up your stitches. Next, you're going to want to turn your heel. This is where the short row magic comes in to make that little cup. You'll knit partway across, turn your work, knit back, one stitch short, turn, knit back, one stitch short, turn, knit back. You're going to create a little cup shape. You are going to create a little cup shape. Trust the pattern. It feels weird, but it works. Then you're going to pick up stitches. Did I mention I don't like to pick up stitches? You're going to pick up stitches. This part feels tricky the first time. You'll pick up stitches along the side of your heel flap. It's key for making sure your sock is snug and gap free. Plus, you don't want a whole huge side of your sock hanging there. It wouldn't be good either. Then you're going to do your gusset decreases. This is where your sock goes back to being a tube. You'll decrease every other row until you're back to your original stitch count. So there you go. Heel flap and gusset steps. Easy peasy-ish. Now, here's my personal knitting truth. As much as I respect the classic gusset and everybody who knits it, it's just tedious for me. I want something smooth, fast, and still fabulously fitting, which is why the German short row heel is my go-to. I also have very narrow heels, so I need to do more of a short row heel because it fits my personal foot better. This method is super sleek, no gussets, no picking up stitches, and it works seamlessly if you're doing a toe up or a cuff down sock. It's a win-win. I'll drop a link below to my German short row heel tutorial. So I'm sure you're thinking, great, Jenna, how does it work? Well, you work the heel again on half your stitches, same as the classic, knit to one over, knit to one over. Okay, so you're always going in one more. I personally do, if I'm doing, if I have a 30 stitch for my 60 stitch sock, if I'm doing 30, I will do 10 in on each side, and then I leave 10 empty. I don't touch the middle 10 because well, not nobody, but people generally don't have pointed heels. Now mine are pretty narrow and come to a pretty narrow point, but you're still not going to knit all the way the 15 and 15. So instead of wrapping and turning, you're going to use double stitches. These keep everything neat and prevent your gaps. You work your short rows in and out, turning at the double stitches, narrowing it down until a magic little heel cup forms. Remember, I said 10, if I'm doing a 60 count sock and 30 count heel, then I'm doing 10, 10 for short rows, and 10 in the middle I leave alone. It's brilliant. And once you get the rhythm, you'll be obsessed. So here are my tips. Keep those double stitches tight. No floopy loops allowed. Practice on a mini swatch first. Use markers to keep track of your heel section. If I'm knitting a 60 stitch sock, then I drop a marker at the start, beginning of round, and another one at 30, so I know the front from the back of my sock. I'll also drop a progress keeper so I can quickly see what's the front and what's the back. That way, if I need to put my socks down mid-heel, it'll be easy. I can easily recognize it, especially if the heel hasn't started to cup yet. I've been knitting socks for years, and this is hands down my favorite way to shape a heel. If you're like me and you don't love fussing with gussets, I promise the German short row heel will change your sock game. Okay, so let's say we're having some heel trouble. Want some quick fixes? Let's go. Gaps at the corner, add an extra stitch at the join when picking up. Tighten it up and you're golden. Ladders between your needles, be extra mindful of tension at the joints. Lost your place? Don't panic. Count your stitches, double check your pattern before moving on, and try out my trusty notion of putting a progress keeper, 2 stitch markers to delineate front and back, and I've always got a row counter nearby, whether it's on my phone or one of the ones we carry. I always have a row counter, so that way I'm counting which stitch I'm at on my decreases. You've been asking questions, so now it's time for our listener Q&A part. Why does my heel look so messy? Love this question. It's super common. The heel is a high-stress area with lots of manipulation, and it can look wonky mid-knit. My advice, trust the process. Blocking works wonders, and every heel you knit will look better than the last. Seriously, every heel you knit will look better than the last. For blocking, all I do is a quick soak and gentle wool wash, put the sock on a blocker, let it dry overnight. Works just like a night cream to smooth out the wrinkles. No, I do not recommend putting night cream on your socks. So, what are some of my favorite tools to give you heel turning success? High twist wool nylon blends. Durability. Dreamy heels. We have MCN or MCN sock, or we have our Southern sock. Great bases, either one. I swear by 9-inch circular needles. Test different needle sizes until it feels just right. I find DPNs too fiddly holding all those needles. I used to love Magic Loop. Then the clouds parted, the skies opened, and I fell in love with ChowGoo's 9-inch circulars. Game changer. Stitch markers and tools, keep everything organized and on track. I love a progress keeper to note the front from the back. 2 simple, no snag stitch markers to mark the beginning of the round and halfway through. Remember, I put a marker at stitch 30. Plus, I like to keep a crochet hook available for any drop stitches. Not like that ever happens to me, though. Yeah. Honestly, one that you have on hand will work, or grab one from a big box craft store. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. But we do offer a set of 3 on a keychain that will work great in all my knitting bags. Okay, so you ready for your pep talk? If you've been putting off knitting socks because of the dreaded heel turn, please let this be your sign you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Every knitter starts somewhere. Your first heel might feel a little wonky, and it might look a little wonky, and that's okay. Your second heel will be smoother. By the third, you'll be turning heels in your sleep. You've got it down by then. Whether you're trying the heel flap or jumping into short rows, I've got your back. I put together a little checklist guide to guide you through every step. Simple, clear, printable PDF. The link's below, and it's totally free. Don't forget to check out our sock yarn, because gorgeous heels deserve gorgeous yarn, and get that perfect bounce and softness for heel perfection. Try either our MCN Merino Cashmere Nylon or the tried and true Merino Nylon blend. Merino Nylon happens to be my favorite, but I do also really, really love the MCN. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you're loving these episodes. Follow along at southernskeins.com and join the conversation on YouTube and Instagram. And as always, you can follow Behind the Skeins on your favorite podcast player or stream at southernskeinspodcast.com. Until next time, keep knitting, keep learning, and keep creating with joy. You've got this.
That's a wrap for this episode of Behind the Skeins. Thanks for joining Jenna Eddy for a peek behind the scenes of the indie yarn world. If you loved today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss a stitch. Want to keep the fiber fun going? Follow along on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for more behind-the-scenes moments, yarn dyeing inspiration, and knitting tips. And if you're ready to dive even deeper, check out southernskeins.com for exclusive content, shop updates, and more. Until next time, keep creating, keep knitting, and keep chasing those colorful dreams.